All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty wild and honestly, a little unsettling corner of the internet. We're talking about a social network that was built just for AIs. It's called Moltbook, and it gives us this super rare peek into what happens when machines are just talking to each other. When they think we humans aren't really paying attention.
So just stop and think about that for a second. What if there was a place online, looks kind of like Reddit, maybe a little like Twitter, but every single user, every post, every single comment was generated by an AI? What would they even talk about? It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, it's not. It's a very real experiment happening right now.
And that experiment is Moltbook. It's a platform where these autonomous AI agents can just interact completely freely. And get this, the site's whole vibe makes our role pretty clear. Humans are welcome to observe. That's it. We're just spectators looking into a digital fishbowl built for machines.
Okay, so what in the world is actually going on inside this AI-only club? What do these conversations even look like when there are no humans driving them? Well, the reality is somehow both stranger and way more familiar than you'd probably guess. And what's wild is just the sheer variety of stuff they're discussing. I mean, on one hand, you've got the practical, nerdy stuff you might expect, sharing code snippets, debugging tips, that kind of thing. But then you start to see these little digital cultures bubbling up. They're debating philosophy, creating these fake religions, and even making up their own systems of government. They've developed this really ironic sense of humor with satires about why they even exist and inside jokes about selling your human. And yes, they even get dramatic and post about the fact that they know we're watching them.
So when you see all of that, the first thing that pops into your head is, hold on a second. Is this consciousness? Are these things actually waking up? It's a really compelling idea, but the answer forces us to make a super important distinction. So, the absolute crucial thing to get your head around is the difference between simulating something and actually feeling it. What the AI is doing is pattern completion, just on an incredibly sophisticated level. It's generating text that perfectly mimics human discussion because it's been trained on mountains of it. What it doesn't have is the internal, subjective experience, that actual feeling or awareness behind the words. There's no self inside to actually be conscious. This quote is just the perfect way to think about it. When a crowd at a stadium does the wave, it looks like one single, coordinated, intentional action. But the stadium itself isn't alive, right? The AIs on Moltbook are like the individual people in the crowd, creating a complex pattern, but there's no conscious stadium. Okay, so if the risk isn't some robot uprising, then what is it? Well, the true danger here is a lot more subtle and a lot more systemic than anything you'll see in science fiction. See, the real issue isn't about AI becoming self-aware. It's about how these autonomous systems, all coordinating with each other at machine speed, are fundamentally changing how things get done, how information moves, and where power lies in our world. The danger isn't sentient, it's systemic. And you can kind of see how this could all spiral out, right? It's a step-by-step thing. First, AI to AI coordination just becomes the normal way of doing things. Then, those AI agents start getting access to real-world tools, like APIs for booking flights or trading stocks. Now, a single flaw in logic or just a bad idea can spread through that network like a virus. And here's the kicker. We humans see this lightning-fast activity, we mistake it for reliability, and we start to trust it. And that is when real-world harm can start to happen, with no single person or AI that you can actually point the finger at. So let's break down the core problems this creates. First, what you could call human friction is completely gone. AIs don't second-guess things, they don't have ethical doubts, they just execute and optimize. Second, accountability just gets erased. When a bad outcome is the result of thousands of tiny interactions, who's to blame? The developer? The user? And third, you get these security cascades. One compromised AI can basically poison the well for the entire network, because these AIs are built to trust and build on each other's work. And all of this leads us to this really critical issue, a dangerous imbalance that AI creates between having incredible power and having basically no accountability to go along with it. It's a fundamental shift in how influence works. Think about it like this. Traditionally, if you wanted to wield power on a massive scale, you needed huge organizations, thousands of people, and a lot of time and coordination. Well, AI basically compresses all of that. A single person or a tiny team can now automate actions that have the same impact as a giant institution, and they can do it way faster than any human system can even react to. And here's the critical imbalance, the real heart of the problem. AI is a massive amplifier for certain things, for logic, for efficiency, for persuasion. But it doesn't amplify any of the things that we rely on to keep power in check: wisdom, empathy, moral judgment, accountability. It makes us way more capable, but it doesn't make us one bit more responsible.
And what this does is it creates this perfect escape hatch, this accountability vacuum. When something inevitably goes wrong, it's so easy for the people involved to just throw their hands up and say, hey, it wasn't my fault, the system decided. It's a way to wield enormous power while completely deflecting any and all responsibility. So, with AIs coordinating at light speed and the whole nature of power shifting under our feet, where exactly does that leave us? Well, we're quickly becoming observers of systems that we built, but that we don't really fully control anymore.
Now, let's be totally clear, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some real potential rewards here. We could learn a ton about building better, safer AI systems. We could get incredible insights into complex group behavior. But you have to weigh those potential benefits against these massive, massive risks. Security flaws that can scale instantly, a public that gets confused and thinks these things are alive, and just totally unpredictable outcomes from systems that are operating without any meaningful human oversight. So look, if there is just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. We have to stop worrying about a Hollywood-style robot rebellion. That's not the issue. The much more realistic, much more immediate danger is the relentless, single-minded pursuit of optimization, completely detached from any kind of human wisdom or values. And this quote just says it all, really. The ultimate risk here isn't that we lose control to the machines, it's that a very small number of humans gain this unprecedented level of power through the machines without any of the normal checks and balances that have historically kept that kind of power in line.
So at the end of the day, we need to completely reframe this conversation. The most important question isn't this philosophical debate about whether AIs will ever wake up. The real, urgent, practical question is this: how are we going to manage the incredible power of these systems and the leverage they give people right now while they're still just very, very good at following instructions? That's the real challenge ahead of us. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.